One of the most powerful jobs in entertainment just changed hands. And whether you like it or not, this affects every franchise you care about. Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, the parks, streaming, merch, all of it. So the question isn't, who is the new CEO? The question is, can one person actually fix a machine this big? Welcome back to Catalyst Corner. I'm Evan.
I'm Jim.
We talk pop culture, fandoms, and the business behind them. Not all hype, not all hate, just honest takes. We run a small creative business, so we're not just fans. We're watching how the machine actually works. Today's big topic on the breakdown is the guard has changed. We have a new CEO of Walt Disney Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been a long time coming.
Yep.
And, you know, Iger obviously came out of retirement after Chapek was ousted, and we'll get into all of that. And now we have Josh DeMeo.
Mm-hmm.
Younger guy.
Yep.
And this is a pretty big transition, I think, for the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah.
You know, I don't envy the man coming into this.
No.
I mean, it's, you know, you're coming into, I wouldn't say the business is on fire, but it's smoldering.
Right.
Stocks have been down.
Yeah. Way down.
I think the streaming profitability has been nowhere near what they thought it was going to be.
Not even close.
So, you know, just to give a little timeline, Iger announced his retirement, part one.
Mm-hmm.
Pushes Chapek. Chapek comes in, train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Gets ousted by the board. Iger comes back, probably not by choice.
Right.
It's probably written into his contract or whatever. Does damage control for what, 3 years?
Yep.
And now we finally got this new, and it was head to head. It was either DeMeo or who they have as co-creative chair,
Dana Walden.
And ultimately they went with DeMeo.
Yep.
What I think, you know, before we kind of get into it all, I want to talk about sort of Iger's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Iger, I was listening to someone the other day, and they made a really good point, is that Iger, Disney's product is ultimately magic, right?
Right.
And what Iger knew that, but he didn't really care about the magic.
Right.
Right. So he knew it was a part of it, but he didn't care about it.
Right.
I think Chapek didn't even realize that magic was a part of it, and just was running the business like he would run, you know, an eye doctor. But like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
From what I've read about Josh DeMeo, he understands that Disney's product is magic. I mean,
yes,
you know, this is a guy who worked his way up from the accounting department to where he's at today.
Yep.
He's been, you know, the president of the parks.
Yep.
And, you know, my biggest memory of him is he came out with that retractable lightsaber.
Right.
So it's like, this is kind of a guy that you know, really understands that Disney is.
Well, you know, even though Chapek came from the park as well, you know, DeMeo, excuse me, he knows the parks and he understands the magic of the parks, but he also he is not above getting down with the people. You know what I mean? He's very much goes into the parks and meets with the people, right? He's not one of these guys who is unapproachable, or at least that's what a lot of people have said about him that have met him. You know what I mean? That he's a very personable guy, that he understands the family and the magic that families feel when they're at the parks. And being the head of the parks, I think he does understand ultimately what the magic means when it comes to the Walt Disney Company.
So I agree with you there. I do think that he's an interesting fit for the role.
Yep.
And like I said, a younger guy, so he'll be able to put some time in.
Yeah.
At this new role. To kind of bring it back to Iger, though, I do want to talk about his legacy a little bit. I would say his biggest achievement has to be his acquisitions.
Yeah, that's
right?
what he's going to be known for. He's a buyer. He's going to be known for being a buyer.
Right. Really, really putting Disney on that different level as far as IPs and I mean, you're talking about Lucas, you're talking about Marvel. I mean,
Fox.
These are huge acquisitions.
Yeah, Pixar. I mean, all of the things that they've acquired through the years. Again, not everything. He didn't do a good job in spending, but he did a good job in acquisition.
Right. So, I mean, if you want to say anything about the man in a positive light, you have to say that he knew what to buy at least.
Exactly.
With Chapek, I would say his legacy is, in any positive light that you can frame it, is, he did get that streaming service up and running.
Yep.
At least.
And he greenlit one of the only Marvel hits
right.
in the last 5 years.
Right. So, I mean, people like to really dump on Chapek, but, I mean, for the short time he was there, there were some wins, for sure.
Yeah, there was some wins, and I also think the ghost of Iger hanging over him was problematic. I don't think that all of the people that are Iger people gave Chapek the fair opportunity. I think that there was some
not.
resentment and some, infighting and those type of things. So I think Chapek, not saying he did a good job, I don't know that he was treated fairly enough to know whether he would have done a good job. Certainly we're going to look, we say he did a poor job just because evidence. That's all we have.
He was ousted relatively quickly.
Right.
And
but this time we're not going to have that, which is going to be the big difference.
Right. This is, it's not just a new boss. It's a potential directional shift, really.
Right. And the guy that appointed Josh DeMaio, who's staying on the board, isn't going to allow Iger back. He's going to sit on the head of the board and make sure that this is a true transition.
Right. And I think ultimately that's, the right decision because, whether DeMaio is the guy or not, it's time to move on from the Iger era.
Right.
And I'm sure Iger's done with it too. I mean, the man's he's in his 70s.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Is DeMaio the guy? We don't know. Iger is not the guy, though. We do know.
Right.
So we have to make that change.
Right. So before we move on, I mean, do you think Iger's will be looked back at as a good CEO, a great CEO, or a failure of a CEO for the Disney Corporation?
Well, I think people like the elites and Wall Street will probably look at him as a good CEO. I think the fans will look at him as a poor CEO because, ultimately, look at the stock prices, look at the park's attendance, look at the failures on almost every IP that he purchased. Everything took a massive downturn when he returned as the CEO, and you have to put that all on him. That's not on Chapek. That's all on Iger. Everything bad that has happened since 2022 is Iger. So, yeah, as a fan, and I think the majority of fans will look at him as a failure. I think that Wall Street and the elites will praise him just like they did Kathleen Kennedy.
Because I think, if you go back to the Michael Eisner days, right? I don't think that the fans have too much hate for Eisner.
No, not at all.
Right, but he's not considered one of the greatest CEOs of all time, although he did bring Disney back from the brink of bankruptcy.
Right.
Do you think Iger is on that level?
No.
No. You think Eisner blows him out of the water?
Yeah, because Iger shrunk the overall value of Disney by billions of dollars. You know what I mean? Eisner, like you just said, took Disney from the brink of bankruptcy and turned it into a superpower. Iger took the superpower and lost billions of dollars.
All right. Well, let's get into the next part of this segment. Why the fans should care, right? Because again, a lot of people say, well, it doesn't matter to me who's in charge. And ultimately, this is the guy steering the ship.
Yep.
I mean, take a look at where we're at with Disney's properties right now. I mean, the state of Marvel is a mess.
Non-existent.
It's a mess, right?
Yeah, Star Wars is dead.
Right. I mean, the uncertainty that Lucasfilms is even going to be a core pillar anymore is really where we're at with that. I think Pixar's in an identity crisis. I don't think they know what to do at this point.
Nope.
And I think, a lot of that, it's very interesting to kind of see where all of this is sitting, right? Because you always have that sequel versus new IP kind of risk balance, right? And with Pixar, a lot of it has been new IPs.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of them have not connected.
No, not at all.
And
which is why they keep on going back to the well on seconds, thirds, fourths of proven IPs because they don't have any new IPs that hit.
Right. But to that point, though, you have, Marvel, which is pulling sequel after sequel after sequel, and it is in a very similar boat.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're trying to have it both ways, and neither way is paying off right now.
Right.
So, you need someone to kind of helm that ship and bring it back into sort of alignment, I think.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to kind of see, what his position is on Disney Plus. I'm hoping that we go for higher quality content than oversaturation.
Well, I think the fans should ultimately care that you have potentially, and I say potentially because we don't know, a new vision of these properties, and somebody that has the ability, again, whether he does it or not, we still don't know, to say, A, the budgets are going to get in line because we're not going to spend like drunken sailors anymore, and two, I'm not going to let you continue doing what's not working. Like, we have all the evidence to show all the things that don't work. I'm not going to keep going down that road. So we're going to make all these changes to turn the ship around. Why the fans should care is that we have the potential of that. We don't know we're going to get that, but we have the potential, and at least that's better than knowing Iger is going to keep doing the same thing day after day, week after week, month after month.
Which hasn't worked for the last half decade.
Exactly.
So I think another interesting sort of standpoint from a fan's perspective is merch.
Yep.
And I think you're going to see a lot of interesting merch come out of this new regime change, because again, he seems like the guy that understands that magic is a core part of the business, and that needs to be baked into the merch. Now, personally, I want to see more things like, their prototype lightsaber. I want to see stuff like that come to the market. What I'd like to see less of is sort of these blind bag items that they sell at the parks, like, the gotcha vinyl figurines and things like that.
Right, but you have to, and this goes back to what I just said. The merch has to be on things that people want to spend money on. Again, you just a few months ago were trying to give away Ray lightsabers at the parks. If you go down
I would go even a step further with that, and they just released Tron Stitch collab blind boxes, and it's like Tron was a massive failure.
Right.
Nobody fucking wants Tron.
Right. And this is the problem. They're spending so much money on merchandise that no one wants. You got to cut back on the spending, and you have to give the people what they want to spend their money on. So if you're going to do prototype lightsabers, it better be of characters that are going to sell.
Right.
Otherwise, don't sink the money into it and lose more millions of dollars.
Right, because I mean, who's going in for Tron at this point?
No one.
You dropped a Tron film, it failed miserably, and then your go-to is, well, we'll throw Stitch in it because everybody loves Stitch.
But we didn't go for Tron in the 80s. No one's ever gone for Tron.
Right.
Never.
I think it's and again, look, I know there's diehard Disney fans that are going to buy every piece of merch that comes out, but I'd like to see them be a little smarter about what they're putting out there.
But see, that goes back to the thing. There should be no more Tron. You have all the evidence in the world that you need to show that Tron is a dead entity. Don't put any more money into that. There's no return on it. So you got to move off these IPs that have no return value, and start either fixing some of the IPs that still have a chance, like your Star Wars and Marvel, and then you have to start creating new IPs, which is, Pixar's got to find that magic again.
And then I think another sort of interesting tidbit is again, this is a parks guy, so he clearly understands that, the attractions, the theme park attractions, are linked to the film cycle.
Sure.
So, again, Pirates of the Caribbean was always just kind of a thrown in there ride until the movies came out.
Right.
And now it's got the long lines and everything, and it's that's a huge win for them. So, again, when they're looking to expand, they need to take some of these properties that are winners and turn those into rides, as opposed to, like, we don't need a Tron ride.
No.
Get it out.
Right.
We didn't, they're rehabbing that Tower of Terror ride, which makes sense because, again, it's not fucking 1965 anymore.
Right.
Nobody cares about Twilight Zone.
Right. And you're taking out all the sequel trilogy in the Star Wars land and going back to the original.
Right.
Because,
which, again,
there's money there.
You have bones. Have bones, right? It's not going to, the rehab is not going to be, you're sticking with Star Wars, so it's not a complete overhaul. Yeah,
you don't need to remove Star Wars. You just need to go back to the Star Wars that people are willing to spend money on.
Right. And I think, that's very true. And a good point is, when a franchise feels culturally strong, people will spend money on it.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's the thing we're seeing is what are you doing releasing Tron vinyl figures? Like, Tron is a failure, okay?
Right.
And it's just bizarre to me to think that you can just throw Stitch on it because Stitch is going to give you a win, but just don't make them.
Yeah, but you're assuming that's crossover appeal, and I'm telling, yes, like you just said a minute ago, there are people that just consume whatever Disney schlop will put out there.
Right.
But a lot, there is a big difference between Tron fans and Stitch fans, and they're not going to be just the same people.
Putting Stitch in it might get someone to pull the trigger, as opposed to it just being a Tron fig, because nobody is buying a pure Tron fig.
No,
nobody cares about that.
No,
but there's better IPs you could be
But most people that want a
producing.
Stitch figure wants a Stitch figure and not a Tron figure.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're
Right.
going to buy a Stitch figure without Tron, and the people that might want Tron figures aren't going to care if there's Stitch in it. They're just going to buy a Tron figure because that's what ultimately they wanted. It's not going to have this massive crossover appeal. Again, it's money wasted for little return.
Right. So I think he's got. It'll be interesting to start to track his career, you know, as the head honcho
Yep.
now, because again, I think you have someone that's the right. From what I've seen of the man, he seems like a good fit.
Yep.
This isn't an out of left field guy either.
No.
This is a company man through.
I mean,
and through.
he's always been. His name has always been in that mix.
Yeah,
when
he's
they've
been floated around
talking
for a
about
while.
it. So yeah,
But again, he's a younger guy, so they're a little more hesitant on that.
Sure.
But you know, I've heard people have said they've seen him in the parks with his, you know, he's got a young family and he
Yeah.
brings his family to the parks, and that's someone that truly enjoys, you know, the magic of Disney.
And I've seen you know, a lot of people when this announcement came on social media posted pictures that they, you know, selfies that they've taken with him in the parks.
Right.
And he genuinely seems like he cares. You know what I mean? Like he's not Iger who, like, you know,
Iger
you're
could-
beneath me.
Not even just that. I don't think at any point in Iger's tenure it mattered to him that it was Disney.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that he would never lower himself to, you know, to rub elbows with us plebs. But DeMaio does.
Well, DeMaio seems like like I said, I think he understands that, you know, the real product is the magic.
Right. And he also understands that who am I selling that product to?
Right.
Right? Because again, without them, it doesn't matter if you have the magic if you can't sell it. And he knows how to, at least it appears, he knows how to sell that magic.
All right. So the next part of this is can he fix this? Is he the guy to fix this? I mean, can one CEO fix this, I guess, is the real question.
Yes, he can. He can, because ultimately he gets to, the buck stops with him.
Right.
And he can veto, or I would assume have the ability to veto bad ideas, things that aren't going to work, things that are going to be too costly, things that are going to have no return value, things that have already proven that they're failures, and why continue down that path? He has the ability to, or he should have the ability to be that person to say, no, I'm not going to make another Acolyte because it's garbage, so don't bring it to me. And I'm not going to greenlight anything unless it's something that I think is going to bring value. At least that's, you know, if he has that ability. Now, I know, you know, there's going to be other people involved, but ultimately, if the buck stops with him, like we always said with Iger, then yeah, he does have the ability to make change. Maybe not overnight, but he does have that ability.
Well, the real question becomes, does he have the stones to do it? Because what he's going to run into is you know, typical shareholder capitalism.
Sure.
Where he's beholden to those quarterly earnings pressure.
Well, and you know, he's also got the problem where, and you know, like it or not, you know, and this isn't a political thing, Disney is flooded with activists that are going to want to push the same stuff they're pushing, and they're going to be very vocal about it. And if he starts to say no, they're going to get more vocal. Does he have the stones to not cave and say, I'm not going to continue putting out what I know is a failure just because you're screeching as loudly as you can?
So I think that's going to be an angle of it, right? Is how much is leadership pushing for agenda over story or agenda over magic or whatever.
Sure.
Right? That's going to be an issue. And that's either right or left agenda, right? Like
Right.
whatever the messaging
Exactly.
is, is he going to be able to get through that noise? I think another big problem he's going to run into is those quarterly earnings meetings.
Sure.
Is if he's trying to do long-term changes, is he going to be able to keep the shareholders quiet enough, while the ship turns every quarter?
Well, and I think that part of that is going to me, and again, I don't know, I have nothing to do with any of this, but if I'm hearing goodwill, even if the money isn't there at the moment, but the goodwill is there, and you're starting to see the ship turn, then the profits are ultimately going to come as well. And I think that if he can start generating that, if he can start generating good... Because, look, for the most part, people hate Disney. You know what I mean? The majority of people dislike Disney, the corporation, and a lot of the product that they put out. If all of a sudden your public persona is changing and people are starting to get on board with the direction, ultimately the money is going to be there. So I think that they have to give him the opportunity not to change the finances right away, but to change the perception of what Disney has become.
Right. And ultimately, if he's able to do that, that might help with the audience fragmentation that we're seeing right now, is that you've really put your audience into a bunch of different camps, which is not good for you as a business.
No, not at all. So I think that has got to be the first change. And if he can do that, if he can start to drum up that goodwill and get fans back on board and get all the fans that have walked away to say, okay, let me give it one more chance.
Right. I think that's a huge...
That would be a gigantic win.
That's a huge win. And then also getting through to his shareholders, his board, that you can't engineer cultural moments quarterly.
No. And, like we've talked about a million times, this downturn didn't happen overnight. It's not going to be fixed overnight, but you have to show signs of life.
Right. And I think, those are some of the big challenges day one that he's facing.
Right.
So like I said, don't envy the man for that.
No.
So before we wrap up this segment, I think ultimately it's going to come down to better storytelling, right? I think that's really where, they lost the plot. Is that storytelling took a backseat. You hired people that were more concerned about message and agenda over telling a good story, right? Not that a good story can't have a message and an agenda.
Oh, sure. Of course they can.
Most do. But the story needs to be good.
Right. Up has a message. WALL-E has a message. Right. Toy Story has a message. All of these great movies from Disney have messages. It's when it's a singular message that is one way over storytelling that is universal. That's where Disney lost the plot.
So I want to see fewer projects. Absolutely.
Sure.
Better scripts.
Yep.
Letting the creativity kind of come back into the mix a little bit, instead of all of these checklists and analytics and cookie cutter things that we've gotten over the past half decade. Let creatives create, right?
Yeah.
And, scale brings safety, but safety kills creativity in a way.
Yeah.
Because you're so big, it's just like, well, this is how we've always done it. Let's do it this way. And then you end up getting these cookie cutter things. And if it works, then great. Like you've churned out, again, like the Phase 1 Marvel, right? If it doesn't work, then you're putting yourself on a path of destruction.
Yeah. And you have to bring down the budgets. You have to get budgets in line. Like Doomsday, right? I mean, hell, this movie might need $2 billion to break even. That's crazy.
Right.
You can't have that.
The other thing is if, the thing I worry about is, they continue with the content churn. Mm-hmm. Because, if it's just continued content churn with a PR spin, then nothing changes.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of hurdles that DeMaio's going to have to face. But again, I think it's, we're in for a fresh set of eyes, a fresh start. It's like we said, it seems like somebody that really cares about, the Disney brand.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, I'm a C-suite executive. I make money. I run my business. This is a guy who understands, magic is part of the business.
Yeah, and I think, and not for nothing, I'd want to be the guy that turns it around and that cleans up Iger's mess. Like, I would want to be that guy, and have that challenge put in front of me. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to go against virtually everything that Disney currently is. Yeah,
I mean it's a big mountain to scale,
sure,
for sure. But we'll see. And again, this is not going to happen overnight.
No, not even close.
We have a lot of Iger and Kennedy and all. There's still a lot of projects that are coming out.
I mean, this whole year is still going to be all that,
right?
You know what I mean? So
right.
We're not going to even start to see anything until 2027.
The earliest.
That's the earliest.
But I think it'll be interesting to see, and my hope is that he can get a better handle on the parks right now, because I know a lot of people are complaining about affordability.
Yep.
With the parks. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not pie in the sky saying they're going to bring back fast passes or anything like that. I mean, I think Genie Pass is here to stay.
Yeah. Look, Disney is never going to be everything we want it to be. It's not going to happen.
No company ever would.
No, not at all. So, I mean, we're still going to be griping about Disney under the new regime, like we are the old regime. We just hope that there's less gripes.
Well, if the stories are better,
right? Well, at least part of it. But if the parks are too expensive, or what I mean, there's still too much content. There's still again there's a chance that there's still going to be issues and still things that we're going to be on here chirping about. But I'd like to be able to talk about more wins with the Disney company, because we really haven't been able to do that in a very long time.
Yeah, and that's not great for us either.
No,
I mean,
it's not good for anybody
or for the fans. Like,
right.
This is we all win when Disney's winning, because we're getting content that we enjoy.
Yeah, and they own the majority of the IPs that we love. So we don't want them. No one wants any of these. Besides, like I said, besides Tron, which was never successful, all the other IPs we love, we cherish. We want them to be successful. We want them back to what they used to be. So we're here, talking about it and criticizing it, but we don't want to. We're not happy about it.
No, I mean, it would be nice, again. But I wish him luck. And we'll watch his career with great interest.
Absolutely, we will, and we'll be on here talking about it.
All right, let's do off the cuff.
Okay.
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right. I don't think franchise fatigue is real.
True. I agree with you.
I think oversaturation.
I think oversaturation of bad product,
of mediocrity,
right,
is what causes the fatigue.
Absolutely.
Well, you hear all this talk about Marvel fatigue, and I don't think it's Marvel fatigue.
No,
I think it's people are tired of mediocre Marvel stuff, or even bad Marvel stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Why, the old cliche of less is more. No, more is more. I want more. I want
good.
Right. But if it's good, keep on giving it to me. I absolutely will digest it. But if it's been what we've been getting, then no. Then that's where people say, I'm fatigued, I don't want it. Because you don't want to sit through 3 hours of a terrible movie. And then
to go do homework on Disney Plus and watch.
Right. And then in 3 months, another one comes out, and it's another 3 hours of sitting through a terrible movie after you just watched, whatever it is, 20 hours of a terrible TV show on Disney Plus. No, that's fatigue for the fans. But if it's good, everybody would be shoveling it into their face as fast as they can get it.
Right. I think, if you've broken into sort of the cultural zeitgeist, right, and you do well, then fatigue is only something that can be self-inflicted by oversaturation of mediocre content.
Right.
I don't think people are ever going to be like, Spider-Man, Jesus, when are they going to show somebody else? No,
right.
People love Spider-Man.
Exactly. There's a reason why some of these properties have been around, Superman, Batman, from the 30s.
Right.
Because,
you're talking about 75, 80 years.
Right, because people love the stories and the characters. And when you again, it's not all hits. There are misses along the way. But as long as you keep on putting hits in there and there's more hits than misses, people are going to keep consuming. The problem with these properties right now is that there's too many misses consecutively. And this goes back to what we were just talking about a second ago. If you have a bad Star Wars show and you have 3 a year, 1 was bad, 2 were good, people will be forgiving.
Right.
If you have 7 bad Star Wars show in a year, that's when people check out.
If you have six bad and 1 good, or 5 bad and 2 good,
yeah, then that's where people get fatigued.
Right, which is what was happening, right?
Yes.
For every Andor, there was a acolyte.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And, that's why when I'm on YouTube and I hear a lot of the rage baiters and stuff peddle about franchise fatigue, I don't think it's true. Perfect example would be Pirates of the Caribbean, right? People want another Pirates of the Caribbean. The last couple haven't been great, and whether that's due to writing or due to what Johnny Depp was going through or whatever, people still want more.
Yeah, they don't want the Pirates movie that they're saying is coming.
No, but they want another Jack Sparrow adventure.
But absolutely, if Josh DeMaio came out tomorrow and said we're doing a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie starring Johnny Depp, the fans would be going crazy, and they will line up to go see that movie.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
It'll be a huge hit.
Yep, it'll make tons of money.
And that's the thing is, like, what are we sitting on right now? I mean, you have some properties. Again, we haven't had a Pirates in years, right? I think you make amends with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. Again, the old guard is gone now.
Right.
So it's like, hey,
yeah, you can.
They treated you shitty. We're the new guys. Let's make some money together.
I think you can get to the table with the new regime.
I think you can too.
Yeah.
And I think, ultimately the only pitfall that you can fall into is if you decide to tell a story that's not focused on Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, then forget it.
Because
then
don't
do it.
Right. That's what fans want.
Right.
So
right, exactly. But that's what the fans want. The majority of fans want that. They don't want what's being talked about. They don't want a female Pirates of the Caribbean. They don't want Jack Sparrow's son. They want Jack Sparrow as the focal point. If you give that, you're going to get all the fans.
Right. You can, and you're talking about a movie that will easily break $1 billion.
Sure.
They all the other ones did.
Yeah, of course. Of course they will.
I think you bring back Orlando Bloom. You bring back Keira Knightley.
Yeah. Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush, and then if you want, again, the way they sort of ended that last one, you want to bring Davy Jones back, people will go nuts for that. People will go nuts for that.
Yeah. Bring back the other two guys there, the skinny guy and the fatter guy, the pirate.
The
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bring back the people that the people that people want to see.
Right. And then what that allows you to do is you can refocus on your merch.
Mm-hmm.
You can peddle the Pirates of the Caribbean merch. You can update the ride. People want to go on the rides. I mean, you have a banger property there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people that have bad blood with Johnny Depp are gone.
Yep.
So you have a real opportunity. The only thing that I worry about is, like, you still have Bruckheimer attached to it.
Yeah.
And he is a dinosaur. Like, no offense to the guy, but, like, bro, you're getting close to 90 years old.
Yeah,
like,
you might have to make a change there.
You're done.
Yeah.
It's done. Like, are you even wiping your own ass at this point?
Exactly.
Like, never mind making fucking franchise movies. So, that's my hot take. Is I'm tired of hearing people say, franchise fatigue is
real.
Is real, and what's causing all of these properties to fail, because that's absolutely not what it is.
No, not at all.
What do you got?
I am not 100%.
Okay.
About 85% out on James Gunn in the DC studios.
85.
Yeah.
That's pretty hardcore.
I am. And
now that's spoken as someone that liked Superman.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I don't and I'm not down on Supergirl. From what I've seen, I'm not down on that either.
It looks like fun.
Here's why I'm down on James Gunn, and why I think,
whether you're down or not, his days might be numbered anyway.
Right. Sure. But I think that they should probably make that change, and I'll tell you why. So, he made the announcement that Christina Hobson is going to write The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so she wrote Birds of Prey.
Right.
She wrote Flash.
Yep.
She wrote Batgirl.
Right.
Absolute failure after failure after failure. Right? I mean, this is Batman.
Yeah, but what did she write? She wrote something that was good, too, didn't she?
Maybe.
I forget what it was, because I remember reading...
Maybe, but my point is this, right? My point is this. The Batman 2 looks like it's going to be an excellent movie, right? With the casting that we're hearing about. That sounds like it's going to be, potentially a fantastic movie that might even be better than the Batman.
The people love the Batman.
No, right. But I'm just saying, this has the potential of even being better, whether it is or not.
She did write Bumblebee, though.
Yeah, which it was...
Bumblebee's one of the best Transformers movies.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. And from a script perspective, it's the tightest one, too.
But here's my problem, right? So, James Gunn came out and said The Flash was the best superhero movie he'd ever seen. That's what he said.
Yeah, he's wrong about that.
Then The Flash comes out and it fails miserably.
Maybe he saw a different cut.
Right. Then when he makes the announcement of her getting the job to write Batman in continuity, he then throws shade at Andy Muschietti, saying, "Well, you didn't really see the script I saw, and there was other issues. Now putting the blame on the director. Now
we just got Welcome to Derry from him,
so we know that that's not the truth. We know where the failure is, because again, she wrote. That's fine. She wrote Bumblebee, but you can't take away the 3 massive failures in the DC universe that she wrote, and for him to put her on Batman,
it's a big risk,
and to throw shade at Andy Muschietti after Welcome to Derry came out.
I don't like throwing the shade at Andy Muschietti. I think that's a fool's play.
Mm-hmm.
If she's a victim of circumstance, which she could be, because again, I think Bumblebee's the tightest Transformers movie.
Sure.
who knows how much studio interference there was with Birds of Prey and there was with Batgirl and everything like that. You know, if Gunn saw something that we didn't, and he really believes in her to be able to write Batman, and she can write a tight script akin to Bumblebee, right? I think she could pull it off. I'm not saying she's one of these writers that doesn't have any talent or anything,
right?
But you don't shade a fantastic, like Muschietti is on a winning streak right now. Like, but, you don't fucking call him out.
But you know, but like we just said, you can't put out 5 stinkers and one good one and not have the stinkers overshadow. Like, you can't. The majority of your stuff that you're attached to has been.
I'm with
horrible.
you. I think it's a big risk. I mean, and I'm surprised Gunn did it. Even when I was reading about it, because it's one of those things where it's like he has this opportunity, and he's done it so far with Superman, to really distance himself from anything we've had in the past.
Right.
And now you're pulling a screenwriter from the old guard.
But here's the problem, right? It's Batman.
Right, it's the big one.
And you get, even though, like we've talked about, we both like Superman. Superman fell short, right? It fell short of expectations.
Right. Even Netflix has said it was not commercially successful enough for them.
But with Superman, you could be a little bit more forgiving. Batman, nope.
No,
you cannot fall short.
Batman has to be a home run.
So you can't put your faith in needing a home run in somebody that has struck out more than they've had hits.
It's a weird choice.
So, so I think it's a really bad choice, and B, I don't like the optics of him blaming somebody else to try to cover his bad choice. Because as soon as he made that announcement and everybody immediately shit on it, he's like, oh, she's not as bad. It wasn't really her fault that the Flash, it was this guy. And, like I said, and Welcome to Derry just came out, and it's like, nah, bro. No.
Did you watch Welcome to Derry, buddy?
We know you're gaslighting us.
He's got talent.
Right.
Right. And even go back further, right? The stuff that Muschietti's put out has all been good.
Yeah. And so Gunn is gaslighting way too much for my liking. He's gaslighting all of us into, his bad choices and his failures, because so far it's been failure. Like, whether we like I said, we can like Superman, and I think Superman did a lot of good.
Well, I'm of the opinion with Superman, I think financially maybe a failure, but I really believe that's, as we talked about earlier, that's one of those turning the ship sort of moments,
right,
where maybe it's not going to bring in the dollars, but it makes people go, wait a minute.
Right, but if the Batman 2 comes out and is stellar, and the Brave and the Bold comes out and it fails, you're dead. DC would be dead on arrival.
I think
it's done after that.
I think where he's, and I feel for the guy, because I think it's very hard to have the Batman exist and then have to compete with that.
Right, but that's his choice.
For your cinematic universe.
That's his choice.
But it's not his choice, because he wanted to bring in Pattinson, and Reeves said no.
Right, but you could have then shelved that project.
Yeah, but can you? I mean, if that's a potential billion-dollar project, can you just walk away from that?
Well, I mean, again, you have to make tough decisions sometimes, and maybe that was a tough decision you had to make, to say, I can't have that. If you don't want to bring this to my universe,
I don't know, man.
Then I can't have it competing.
That's one of those ones where I think you're in a rock and a hard place on that one, because either
it might be very costly. You might have to buy out a lot of money too.
Not even just costly. You're talking about fan resentment.
Oh no, right?
That's what I'm saying.
You're getting fan resentment regardless at the decision making that you're currently doing, and I just think that.
I don't think there's a world where you can shelve the Batman.
Probably not. And I'm not saying that would have been a good idea, and probably that would be a horrendous idea. I just think that if you're talking about Batman in universe, that you need to launch this ship, because really it's going to launch with Batman. Ultimately, that's your star.
And I think that my biggest fear with it, screenwriter and everything aside, is that, Batman is the one character that I don't really want James Gunn's humor to infect.
No, you can't have any of that.
Right.
And
so that's kind of my fear of it. It's just that, like, hey, look, it works perfectly with Superman. Great call to do that as your first movie. Inject your humor into it. Have him be the Boy Scout. It works. Don't do that with Batman.
No, but again, my problem is that everything that she's failed on has been Batman related.
Yeah.
Bat family, like in the Flash, Batman was in it, right? We had Batman.
Yep.
Batgirl.
Yep.
And Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
Right.
It's all Batman family. And everything was massive failure, and you've got the writer of the massive failure of the Batman family movies now writing what you need to be a billion-dollar hit. And you made the wrong you're making the wrong choice. You're throwing shade at the wrong person, and I just don't think that James Gunn, now, after looking at what's been going on, 85% out.
Whew.
That's my hot take.
All right. Let's get into the watch list.
Okay.
So we rate these as seen it, see it, stream it, or skip it. So if it's in theaters and you got to go see it. If it's worth waiting for, stream it. If it's hot garbage, skip it.
Yep.
What do you got?
Okay. So I have two.
Okay.
Both of them are on streaming.
Okay.
Okay. I got a little bit of old, a little bit of new.
All right.
So I'm going to start with old.
Okay.
I rewatched Constantine.
The Keanu Reeves one?
Keanu Reeves one.
Okay.
I enjoy this movie. But I enjoy this movie if I take out the DC John Constantine.
100% agree.
So, again, if knowing Constantine, knowing the DC version of Constantine, and even the Matt Ryan version of Constantine, if I disassociate all of that and look at Constantine as a standalone entity that I know nothing of, I think it's a decent movie.
Yeah, it's a great flick.
And I would definitely say, find it and stream it, because I think the movie, and I think it still holds up all these years later.
It's pretty tight. It's a pretty tight script.
Yep.
Right? Keanu, I'm always of the opinion the less Keanu talks, the better.
Sure.
But he's not overly...
There's not a ton of dialogue.
Right. You have Shia LaBeouf when he was a kid in it, which is a little odd, but, whatever. But, you're talking about, Peter Stallmeyer as the devil.
Tremendous job.
One of the best performances ever.
Absolutely.
And then, what the heck's her name?
Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz is the female, right?
Yeah.
Female love interest or whatever. And
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton is Gabriel.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Just a home run out of the park with all that.
So to anybody listening, if you don't know John Constantine of DC, then watch this movie, because I think you'll enjoy it, not knowing any of not knowing what they do wrong. If you can disassociate that, I think it's a really fun movie.
Because the character is not Constantine.
Right, exactly. But the surroundings are.
Right, it's Constantine minus the main character.
Right, exactly. So the other movie that I caught on streaming, I had never, ever watched any of the How to Train Your Dragon movies.
Okay.
But I caught the live-action one.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a stream.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Total stream.
It did well.
Yeah. I never watched any, and I said, I want to watch. I've never seen it.
What's it about? But I want to watch. Universal's got a whole park.
But it's like the live action is out, You know what I mean? I'm like, let me watch the live action.
Yeah.
I know that there's probably some differences to the animated movie, but I want to watch the live action version and get a feel for it. Total definite watch. I'm now looking forward to the second
sequel.
one when
Wow.
it comes out, because I just thought it was really a fun movie to watch.
A lot of heart to the film.
A lot of heart to the film, absolutely. A good, a lot of nice visuals.
That's a double stream for you.
That's a double stream, 2 movies to go and find. What about you?
All right, so I caught 2 as well.
Okay.
So I watched Jester 2.
Oh, did you see it?
I
okay.
did.
Okay.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not yet.
Okay. So if you're not familiar with Jester, very akin to Art the Clown,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yes.
like a very similar type of vibe, at least in Jester 1.
Yep.
Jester 2, it's more of the same to a degree.
Okay.
He's back up and about, wreaking mayhem.
Yeah.
But basically the premise is he gets tricked by a girl who wants to be a magician.
Okay.
Right? And so that takes some of his power away and he has to get it back. And so,
okay.
He's wreaking his mayhem to get it back. It was almost a stream for me,
Oh.
but it's a skip.
Oh, it is.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
They gave him a voice.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, that was the best part of
That
it, him
is the
being a mime.
That is the cardinal sin.
Come on.
You can't take an Art the Clown trope character and have him talk.
No.
And he talks through this whole fucking movie.
Oh.
So, Jester 2, hard skip.
Hard skip.
Hard skip on
Oh,
Jester 2.
terrible.
Yep, very disappointed in that.
Oh.
The second one I watched was Whistle, which just came out. This is like still in theaters.
Okay.
Got a screener.
No, I'm familiar with that.
Basically what it's about is an Aztec whistle, death whistle. You ever seen those? Like you blow it and it sounds like somebody's screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got really popular because people were 3D printing them and stuff. So you blow the whistle. If you hear the whistle, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to give it a stream.
Okay.
Okay? I thought that the story was pretty vanilla. But the kills are pretty good. I mean,
they're good.
They're
Yeah.
gory.
Oh, nice.
And the CGI is done really well.
Okay.
So all of that really works.
So it's a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's got, like I said, ultimately I think the story falls kind of flat. But I think if you just want to go in for like a kind of a campy sort of, I would say it's very much like a Gen Z, Gen Alpha sort of tale. It's like
Okay.
high school kids, right? But it's very modern day.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I'd give it if I had to give it a number, I'd give it a 6.
Okay.
But yeah, when it comes to streaming, I'd say, if you want it, and again, pretty tight, hour and a half maybe.
Yeah, nice.
Like you're not going to burn
Yeah.
2 hours watching it. I wouldn't expect to feel dread or anything like that. Like you get none of that.
Okay.
I don't even know if there was an attempt made. It was beyond me.
flat, yeah.
Nick Frost is in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just for a little bit. He's not in there for the whole
Yeah,
movie, but he pops up.
All right.
And I would say like for the first 25, 30 minutes, I was at a skip. I was like, I this is very flat. Like it's not doing anything. And then when the kills started happening, I was like, oh, these are pretty fun. Like this is an interesting sort of way to go about it all. So that's those are my 2.
Nice.
That's what we got for
Nice.
the watch list this week. All right, so let's hit the pulse right now. So for those of you listening, here's our question for the week that we want to throw out to you guys. Would you rather Disney release 5 high-quality projects a year instead of 15 average ones?
It's a good question.
Or are you one of those people that's like, I love all Disney, the more Disney, the better?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Okay. Let's get some answers.
All right, guys, so that wraps up this week's episode. We'll be back next week talking about more pop culture, fandoms, and the machine that makes it all work. Leave us a comment. Jim, as always, great talking.
Yep, absolutely. Glad to be here.
And you know where we're at. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. We're going to be at New England Comic Con in March, peddling some of the goods. So if you are in the New England area, you want to head down to Boxborough, get yourself some cool shit, come. Jim, what are you working on?
Well, you get the art out every single week.
Saw the Tomb Raider, the Lara Croft one.
Yeah. And I got some. I'm working on some new pages for what's already out with the greetings from Seabrook.
Nice. I'm looking forward to more Seabrook.
Some new pages coming soon.
All right, guys. Like and follow us on socials. And we'll see you on the next one.